Hi, and welcome back to another episode of SEO On Air. I'm your host, Aaron, and today we have Jason O'Connor, SEO Supervisor at OpenMoves. We talk about his journey into the SEO world, the changes he's seen over the years, and how you can become as successful as he is. I hope you enjoy this episode. I think you had started off being a webmaster before the early 2000s.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and I was I then got into being a webmaster where I essentially helped. It was a lot of the websites that I dealt with were high tech sites, and there was a startup that I worked for Intel for a while, and I was a webmaster for Intel for their networking site. And there was a startup that came out of that I joined, and they did VPNs, and so I was a webmaster for them, and then I got it to be a webmaster for a digital acquisition company. So I did a lot of that, and when I was a webmaster, it entailed managing the site, but a lot of it was, marketing the site and getting eyeballs to the site. And so I did a lot of that as well. And SEO was always a big part of what I did. But I also became, really experienced with web design, building sites, and managing sites and managing the people who wanted the site, wanted all their stuff on the homepage, and every department wanted their information on the homepage, and trying to manage that was always a challenge for me.
And I think as the years kept going by, there was just more and more challenges that would add on to it. Because I think SEO back in the day is completely different to what it was now. So are there
Yeah,
some of these changes that really stood out to you?
yeah. Well, the back then people didn't know anything about digital marketing, and it was all magic and all brand new. And I would it was back in the day when you did advertising, it was sort of a spray and pray is what they would call it. They'd put as many messages out there and pray that some people somewhere heard it and took action. And so it was a major difference to do digital marketing where everything was pinpointed, personalized, measurable. All those things were really new to people. And so one of the skills I developed out of necessity was learning how to communicate to C-suite people, CEOs, business owners, just how effective digital marketing was and how different and better it was than traditional marketing.
If there are some tips that you could probably give someone who, let's say, like myself, want to kind of get into digital marketing, but I'm not too sure where to start or how to kind of get the right footing. If
Mm.
we take away the college degree and the courses, what are some ways that I could personally enhance my knowledge on this field?
Every answer that you'd ever want is online somewhere. So everything in our industry is online, and it's there somewhere. And so it then becomes a matter of knowing how to search and where what things you can trust. And the so and if it were me starting now, I would say the same thing. I mean, I say this to my boys. It's all the answers are there. You just got to find it. It's really a matter of having the motivation and the desire within yourself to do it. And it would be looking things up online and teaching yourself via YouTube and websites, doing searches, that kind of thing. The thing that would be really important to bear in mind is that there are a lot of there's a lot of BS out there too, and there's a lot of people trying to sell you stuff. And so you have to really have a discerning mind when you try to get information online, and be very careful of where you're getting the info from and what do they want out of it. What I would suggest is to go online, find resources on your own that seem to help you, but always with a very, very suspicious mind, and make sure that you're watching out for what is it that these people are trying. Are they trying to sell me something? Do they have an agenda that's different from just teaching? And so I think that's really, really important. And so you just have to be on your toes when you're doing this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think I kind of read it somewhere that when you are reading up stuff online, you do have to take it with a pinch of salt. Because as
Absolutely.
many opinions as you're going to find supporting one idea, you will probably find the same amount of opinions supporting another idea or going against that same idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
this might be the start of the actual questions, but if I was someone who didn't know any better, and we are in 2023, how reliable would it be to ask an AI bot like ChatGPT to help me learn more about digital marketing?
Well, if you're a total novice and you know nothing, then you would get some useful answers from AI for sure. I was just writing about internal linking, and I know a lot about internal linking, but I still asked AI. And normally, what I do is I try to use two to three at a time, so I'll have ChatGPT and Anthropic's Claude, and I'll ask the same question and then compare what they say, just as I do with if you make images and you use Stable Diffusion and Dolly, you can see which is better, and it's fascinating to see how different the outputs can be. But you could learn a lot. And so when I was writing this internal linking article, I just asked, what are the different types of internal links out there? What are and I could probably name 5 or 10 of them, but I asked that question. It came up with like 12 or 13 right off the bat. So there's definitely stuff you can learn from AI. But you want to talk about a pinch of salt. That's, you need a whole big bag of salt when it comes to listening to AI, because they have
Right.
what's called hallucinations, and they sound extremely confident in spouting the wrong information. So you have to be careful with that.
And we'll probably dive into this a bit deeper a little later on. But just to kind of close off the introduction side of things, when did Open Moves happen, and how did you actually find yourself joining that company? And
Yes. Yeah.
what's the journey been like over there?
Yeah, right. So I work for a digital marketing company and based out of New York that's called OpenMoves. And for many years, I had my own consulting business, and I had some e-commerce sites. And when the pandemic hit, things changed, and I needed to spread my wings a bit and looked at some various companies to do consulting with, because I've been doing that all my life. Found OpenMoves, and this was before the pandemic, or right before. I started talking with them and learned that they were a remote company from 20 years ago, the first remote company seemingly. So when the pandemic hit, they were ready for that, and that's when I joined. And it's been a really good fit for me because they use me as a consultant. I'm an SEO supervisor there, where I have lots of different clients and I help them with their SEO. And the range of clients is really big, and it's nice and it's fun for somebody like me. So we do B2B companies, we do B2C, we do lead gen companies, and we have clients that are e-commerce and little tiny companies, and then multinational companies. So it runs the gamut. And if you're really passionate about SEO and you get to do it for lots of different businesses and lots of different industries, it's really a lot of fun. And Open Moves is really good because they mostly concentrate on paid media on one side and SEO on the other side. And that's it. And a lot of our clients use both. And it's a lot of fun, and they're a good company to work for.
And I guess that kind of covers the best of both worlds. You've got the organic side and the paid media side, so you pretty much can offer whatever clients really need.
Yeah, well, not just that, but there's a lot to be learned from paid media when you're an SEO. There's a lot of synergy that you can get, and one of the first things I always ask with a new client is, can we look at your list of keywords that you use for paid? And that helps give you ideas and so forth. I mean, there's a lot of synergy that you can get by working with the paid side.
Let's just say, for hypothetical sake, I am a website owner and I am leading this lead gen company.
Yep.
We've kind of got the basics taken care of. I might not know the entirety of what goes down in a lead gen website or company, but I have got people who are in the right places who can at least manage it off in the right way, at least.
Hmm.
If I approached you at OpenMoves either as the company or as a consultant, and I
Hmm.
needed help to just, in a very general sense, build my online presence, Is there like a quick blueprint you can probably let me know to help me get to that point?
And I personally, but our company OpenMoves has a distinct set of items that one needs to address with almost every new client. And so, whether it was a lead gen or e-commerce, we would have a certain. For instance, every site needs a technical audit. They when we get a new client, we want to look at how well their website runs. Are there a lot of mistakes on the site? Are there a lot of errors? And when you review a site from a technical point of view, you can uncover a lot of issues that will help the site rank better overall over time. So, for instance, if there are a million broken links on a website, then search engines can't crawl it as efficiently. And so there may be a lot of pages on the site that are never crawled and indexed, and you just don't get any search visibility with those pages. And that's because there's a technical issue called broken links. And running an audit will allow you to uncover that and fix that. And that kind of thing, times 100 is what happens when you do a technical audit. So just that little aspect right there, that's something that should be done with every new client, right? So we'll do that. But there are many other things like that that we'll employ with any client, really. So yes, we would need an entire other podcast to discuss, how to tackle a new client. But the answer to your question is we do, usually there are a set list of things that you'd want to kind of go down and check for every site. A lot of fundamental stuff. So one is the technical aspect. Another is looking at their content and seeing, do they have content that works for them? Do they have content that's original? Do they have content that speaks to what they're trying to sell? So that's a whole other aspect. Another one is linking, looking at how they internally link to other pages within the site, and also looking at their backlink profile, what sites are linking to them and how that can be improved. And then there's a couple other big buckets. So you have, content and keywords, you have technical, you have linking. Another one is local SEO. A lot of sites will have a local aspect where you want to do, you want to help them with their Google business profile and have them showing up for searches that are local in nature using geotags, that kind of thing. So,
Right.
those would be the main buckets. And then one other one that I like to do is conversion rate optimization, which is really more of a paid kind of thing to do, but it's really useful in a general sense with SEO because if you're getting 100 visitors to your site, if you do some good conversion rate optimization, you can turn more of those into customers without ever having to get more visits. And so CRO, conversion rate optimization, is really a great thing to do as well. I like to have that as one of the tools in my SEO toolkit. So those would be the main buckets. And in fact, I wrote a book a long time ago that was for business owners who wanted to build a website, and it basically talked about the three pillars of any successful business website, which is the design, the technical aspect of it, and the marketing of it. And and you can kind of look at it from those aspects. So you could say, the design and content and how it looks and presents is one thing. The technical is another, and then the marketing with the linking and the visibility and so forth as another bucket. So that's kind of how I like to approach any site, is using those SEO buckets, really.
But as, let's say, the owner of this company who's come to you for SEO help, if you do point out, let's say, from the technical audit that these are some of the issues that you have to correct, how unlikely would it be for me to be able to handle that on my own? And I think what I'm asking is, would it be easier for me to figure it out on by myself, or actually reach out to a company like yours to kind of fix these issues for me?
If you're talking about technical stuff, especially, it's a big learning curve. It'd be like saying if your transmission doesn't work anymore in your car, is it better to just bring it to a mechanic or to learn about transmissions?
Right.
You could learn about it, but it'd be a real pain. It's just easier to hire somebody. There are some things that you can do, that you could teach yourself. I think some of the marketing tactics that exist today are learnable, as a business owner. Certain things, certainly learning how to create the right kind of content. That's something that's pretty easy to learn. So those things might be a little bit better to maybe consider doing on your own. But even that, it's at this point, things are so sophisticated now. It's probably much easier just to hire somebody.
Right. Rather be safe than sorry.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So now when it comes to the internal and external linking, I do want to break it down to the ultra basic of it. So
Hmm.
what exactly, first question, first part of the question would be, what exactly is the difference between internal and external linking?
Hmm.
And how exactly would a 2023 strategy look like?
Okay, so number one, Google uses links to help in its rankings. And
Right.
so links, regardless, are usually good for your site. And that means that you could
You
have
don't
either
have to tell us twice.
yeah, yeah, right. I mean, you may know something about this, but
Right.
yeah, and then there are two main kinds of links. There's external and internal. External links are links from other websites, other domains that link to your website. So that's external links. And internal links are links within your site. So a link that points to another page within your website would be an internal link. So your navigation is full of internal links, as an example. Um, and When you link to a page, whether they're external or internal links, you're telling Google, you're signaling to Google that this page is worth it enough to be linked to. And so that gives it a bit of a boost, with all other things being equal, in the rankings. And really, that's one of the basic fundamentals of Google's algorithms is this linking. And they originally were Stanford students, and they did a lot of research papers. And in research papers in college, you have to cite every bit of information that you write. And at the bottom, or at the end, you have all these citations. And they had this genius idea of applying that to the internet and saying, if site A links to site B, that's a citation for site B, and that must confer some sort of authority. And so, if you have a lot of, and it's almost considered like a vote. And so, if you have a lot of different websites voting for your website, linking to your website, that boosts it up in the rankings. But it's the same with internal links, just not quite as strong. If you have a page on your site that you don't link to from anywhere else on the site, that's called an orphan page. And you're also signaling to Google that you don't care about that page at all. It's so unimportant that you're not even going to link to it. So why should Google rank it highly?
Right.
And so that's the concept with internal links, is that you want to confer authority to other pages and show importance by linking to those pages. And there's a proper way of doing that and an improper way, or there's an effective and less effective way of doing it. And that's an art in itself, but that's, very important part of SEO.
What would be the best way to find out which is a better link for you?
Yeah, that's such a great question. And that's also an entire podcast unto itself.
We will
But
have like 3, 4 episodes by the end of the year.
yeah, I mean, there's a lot that you can unpack with that. But the to say it quickly, you would want to have a site that's relevant to your site. So to me, the one of the most important things with a backlink from another website is that it's relevant. If you have a auto mechanic website and a beauty salon links to your site, it's not that effective because they're not related. It's not relevant. If you have an auto parts website linked to your auto mechanic website, that would be much more relevant and be a lot better link. So that's certainly one thing. The other thing is that you want to get links to your site from other sites that are authoritative, not just relevant, but authoritative. And what does that mean? From Google's point of view, authoritative means it has a lot of relevant links pointing to it. And it ranks well in Google. So if you have two sites and you can get a link from either one and you're trying to debate which one you get a link from, if site A gets no Google traffic at all and site B gets a lot of Google traffic, you want site B to link to you because you already know that Google loves it because it's sending it traffic. So it's got some sort of authority. When it links to your site, a little bit of that authority is passed on to your site, and that helps it rank better. So I would say you want relevance and authority when you are looking for a backlink.
And when also looking for a backlink, is there, let's say, a strategy that people can use to at least acquire the best types of backlink?
There's a couple ways of doing it, but one pretty effective way is you just look up your competition and look at who's linking to your competition's website. And when I say competition, I don't just mean competition in the, you're looking for websites that compete with you in organic search. And those ones, you want to look at who are, what sites are linking to them, and then try to get them to link to your site too. So that's one way to do it. And another way, if you're a novice and you're watching this episode and you think, okay, I have a site, I'd like to get some new links. Any, associations that you've got out there in the world, you can utilize to try to get a link from. So if you belong to the Chamber of Commerce of your town, you could get a link from the Chamber of Commerce that points to your site. Or if you have suppliers that you use, maybe some of them are willing to link to your site. So in other words, you want to think in terms of your relationships and what relationships have websites that would possibly link to you. And that's another way of doing it. I mean, that would only be to just start things off. It's really, another one of those things where, yeah, you might want to hire somebody to help you with that once you kind of get past, the beginning few links that you build. It's definitely tough. And you also, could mess things up if you do it incorrectly. You have to be very careful because, the way their algorithm works, Google's algorithm is it's expecting natural citations, natural links. If somebody says, "Oh, I like the site, I like the information, let me link to it," that's very different from going out and saying, "Will you link to my site?" And although the algorithm may not be able to tell, if you're not careful, it could tell, or it might be able to figure that out. And so you have to be very careful with where you're getting links and how you're building them, and you want to make them you want it to be as natural as possible.
You did mention that authority and relevance would be two of the factors that you should look for when finding these links. But the EEAT, let's say, factor has always been a part of it. I think one is, what exactly are we talking about, so that people who don't know what we're talking about has some idea?
Mm-hmm.
And how do we use that to kind of improve our own websites now?
I guess you can call it like a part of the algorithm that came out a while ago that stresses expertise, authority, and trust, EAT. And when when you have a website that talks about giving financial advice, or you have a website that talks about medical issues, you are held to a bit of a higher standard in Google's algorithm, because you're giving really important information that's sometimes they call them your money or your life kind of websites. And so you need to really have a site that is authoritative and is trustworthy. And that is something that the algorithm kind of roots out and tries to find. And in fact, any site, regardless of the industry, needs to have authority for it to rank. And the more authority, the better it ranks. And there are ways to signal to Google that your site has authority. So, for instance, it's something as simple as your Contact Us page and your About Us page. Are there pictures, photos of the people who work there? Is there a physical street address listed on the Contact Us, or is it just an email? If there's a physical address, then that's a little bit more trustworthy than just an email, because you know where to find the people. And another thing is, if there are a whole ton of misspellings on the site and grammatical errors, that tends to, not confer a lot of trust. It would be like walking into a store and there's tons of trash on the floors and dust everywhere. You don't feel that comfortable just handing your money over to them because the place is a mess. That's the same kind of concept with a website as well. And so The algorithm has various ways to determine whether the site is authoritative or not, and you really always want to be shooting for as trustworthy and authoritative and sounding as expert as you can with your website. And it's especially important when it comes to your money or your life sites like finance and medical and so forth.
And in these cases, while I think linking does work out to help build that credibility as well,
Yeah, of
what
course, right.
about thought leadership content? Can a website start pumping out content in their field to then be considered a leader in that field?
If you have a website that's got 2 pages, then you're not going to get that much traffic. If you have a website that's got 1,000 pages, you'll generally speaking get more traffic. And so
Right.
if you're creating a lot of pieces of content that are authoritative, then you're going to get more traffic, everything else being equal. Um,
Okay.
and I tend to look at it, the analogy or the metaphor that I use is if you're in a boat and and you're fishing and you have one fishing pole and it's just you and you throw your hook out, then you can catch one fish. If you've got 50 guys in the boat with you and they all have fishing poles, then you can get way more fish in the same amount of time. That's the same as a website having 1 page or 50 pages. It's the same kind
Right.
of concept. And so I think that the more content that you have that's useful and that people consume, the more traffic you'll get. And
So,
yes, certainly if you're pumping out content that has a lot of authority and expertise in it, then what you're doing is you're getting people to recognize that and they will stay on the site longer and more people will come because there's this expertise being written about. And those signals go back to Google, and Google says, oh, this must be an authoritative site. Let's rank it
right.
higher. So that's kind of how that works. It's sort of a indirect bit of evidence that they use to rank a site.
Right. So keeping that in mind, let's say adding a proper physical address, showing a face to the company as well, good content on your website, authoritative content on your website as well, a few links that are linking to authority websites, or at least proving that credibility.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any, let's say, lesser known ways to increase your authority and
Yeah.
credibility in general?
The people in the company have LinkedIn profiles that say they work at that company.
Yeah, I've noticed that a lot of people don't actually have that, or they just conveniently miss out on that.
Basically, you want to show that you're a real company. So, what do real
Right,
companies do? And that's the type of thing they'll have LinkedIn. Their employees will have LinkedIn profiles. There'll be a social media presence. Another one, it's not that it's not well known, but certainly it's critical, is reviews. Real companies have
right.
reviews, including negative ones, and these are all signals that Google uses to determine whether it's a real company or not.
Like how there are reviews for restaurants and other
Yeah.
businesses on like Yelp or let's say a food related website. Can I also find SEO agencies and digital marketings on such review sites as well? Or is there anything specific I can go to and find the actual ratings over there?
If you're looking for an SEO company, do a search, and who comes up first, those guys know what they're doing. So that's
Right,
that's a really really good way of using it. So when I get a client call, my business, which I have a consulting business on the side called Oak Webworks, they'll call and say, can I hire you for doing SEO for my company? And the first thing, being a good marketer that I am, I ask, how did you find me? And they'll say,
right.
oh, I did a search and you showed up number one. And I say, well, that shows
A
I know
good
what I'm
sign.
doing. Yeah.
Right, right. So what I'll try to refine the question a bit. If I did find a company online and I wanted to approach you for SEO services, is there another portal I can go to, a third party, to confirm whether or not this is a trustworthy company, or where there's a common place for people to put their reviews on? Kind of like how Yelp is for, let's say,
Yeah.
restaurants.
Yeah. I feel like you know the answer to this, but I don't. I'm not
Okay.
sure.
I
I don't
have
know.
heard of. I don't know if they are actual sites in the first place, but I do know that there are, let's say, trusted platforms for people to get their reviews on. I just don't know if it's, let's say, SEO oriented or digital marketing oriented. I think Yelp
Yeah.
is the only one coming to mind.
There are sites that are marketplaces like Elance and Upwork, where you can hire people, or even I'm not even going to say that one, but the Upwork's a good one, and where you can hire an SEO person there, and they are somewhat vetted because they're on that site, they're using that marketplace, and not just anybody can be on in that marketplace. So, and they'll have the reviews listed there as well. And also, I mean, let's say you are debating hiring this company, you can do a search for the company name and then the word reviews,
Right.
and you can look at a site's online reputation basically by just doing a simple search on their name with the word reviews.
Basically, when OpenAI and ChatGPT kind of hit the mark at the start of the year, there was a lot of doubt with it as well. A lot of people saying that it should be 50-50, take it with a grain of salt, or like we
Yeah.
said, take it with a whole bunch of salt. Months have gone by. I mean, at the end of 2023, do you think a lot has changed with AI for the good, at least?
These large language models are, you know, definitely give wrong information, and they're still
Right.
giving wrong information today. I know that a tremendous amount of money is being put into it to stop that, to figure out ways around it. But as of now, things are still, I was using Google Labs, which is it allows you to do searches using their search generative experience, which is essentially their search results that incorporate essentially a chat GBT kind of window within it. And they're going to start rolling that out. Um, I guess December, the end of December is when that ends, and it may be rolling out right after that, or it may not. I don't know. But
Right.
when there, I was using it at one point, and it said, be sure to check the results with the Google results. So check the AI results against the Google results to make sure it's real. That's ridiculous. I might as well
Right.
just go to the regular results and just read that. Why would I want to have? But they're still saying that now. So, and so that tells me that they're still really, it's still a struggle.
Right.
So I think things have changed, as in since ChatGPT came out, as in more people know about it. It's become more mainstream. I also just read that Bing, Microsoft has their search engine Bing, and they were a big investor in OpenAI, ChatGPT's company, and they incorporated ChatGPT into their Bing search results. Bing lost market share this last year. They lost market share. I mean, they already had a little teensy, teensy bit of search market share compared to Google. And they thought, okay, well, we're going to put this, the AI results in this, and we'll, start to boost our market share. It actually went the other way. So,
Yeah, I was
it's,
actually a bit optimistic for them because when they kind of integrated with the website, I was like having ChatGPT connected to the internet. So at that time, it was like a really big deal.
it seemed cool. Yeah, yeah.
And all that we have talked about when it comes to building authority, building your online presence as well, internal and external linking. Where are some of these applications where we can use AI and other ChatGPT like tools?
Well, certainly creating content is a big one. So when you're doing marketing and SEO, you want to have content. So it's very helpful to use it for, excuse me, just making outlines or briefs for your content, or giving you ideas. So that's really helpful. I think that when you're doing SEO, you can use it for keyword research. You can use it for finding websites that you might want to get a link from. You can use it for looking at your competition. You can use it for data analysis. So there are a lot of like little applications that it's very useful for. But anything that you use it for, you have to kind of check against other sources.
If you had 1 minute to plug yourself, your brand, whatever you would like to plug, what exactly would you say in that 1 minute?
Well, I would say two things. I would say that, you know, when you're trying to decide on hiring somebody, you want to vet them as much as possible, and look at what they've produced in the past. And if you looked at what I produced, you'd find this video and you'd say, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. So I think it's important to vet whoever you're hiring. And my business, Oak Webworks, has had an awful lot of clients and done a lot of work for a lot of years. Same with my company I work for, OpenMoves. When you see a company has had a lot of years under their belt and a lot of clients, that's always a good sign. And if you can, notice that and then also vet them, you'll usually be able to determine whether they're worth hiring or not. And I'm confident that, if you were to look me up and look at the work I've done, you would see that I know what I'm talking about and I could be pretty helpful with your business.
Thank you again for the chat, Jason. I don't know, again, how we spent an hour without it really going by. It really felt like it was a 10, 20-minute chat.
Absolutely. There was so much more we could have covered. I mean, so much more.
Thanks for watching that episode. I hope you enjoyed. For more videos like this, make sure you like and subscribe.